Phase 4 is decent, and this hate from it always seems to boil down to non-white people not starring in everything. Not every single product here is targeted at middle-aged white guys anymore.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. We will be doing a request today, and it's a request from someone who had a request not that long ago, but I actually felt like it was something we should probably cover soon, because it's something I wasn't aware of, but then he made the request. I'm like, oh, yes, we should cover that. It is Anton AK-47 again. I have a request for you, mate. Take a look at Critical Drinker's MCU Phase 5 video. I'm sure you're gonna like it just as much as I did. Spoiler alert, I did not like it. Aw, you're requesting a bad review. Well, bad reviews are mainly what I do. So we will be looking at the Critical Drinker Marvel Phase 5. His Phase 4 one was rough. And yeah, Critical Drinker's a strange one. I feel like he's technically, overall, like someone like Nerdrotic is actually much worse, because Nerdrotic is always gonna be negative. Just, when's the last time Nerdrotic did, like, a video that wasn't negative? It's always negative with him. Critical Drinker has positive reviews. They're just mostly negative. But, man, I don't think I've watched a single video of him that doesn't have at least one cringe take. The Batman review was one I thought was largely good, but had a cringe take. I brought up Everything Everywhere All at Once, but he felt the need to attack Generation Z in that video for no goddamn reason. And other than that, the review was fine. But yeah, we're going to be looking at his Marvel Phase 5 video, and his Phase 4 one was quite a treat, so let's see what he says about Phase 5 here.
One of the big things to come out of San Diego Comic-Con this year was boobs. The announcement of the entire slate of upcoming movies.
Boobs. Okay. I mean, I like boobs, but okay.
TV shows, video games, board games, and toilet seat covers for Marvel Phase 5. Because, you know, we've got to keep that content pipeline pumping out sludge at full capacity, people. Don't let the audience breathe or think even for a second about what they've just seen. Go, go, go! Now, I have to admit, my first thought on hearing this was, wait, Phase 4's done? I mean, don't get me wrong, it feels like Marvel have pumped out more shit in the past couple of years than all previous phases put together, not to mention proving the point that more doesn't necessarily equal better, but the thing that's been lacking in this phase is purpose. And I'm not talking about the fuck.
Well, I mean, they're just putting pieces into play. That's usually what you do if you're first phase. Granted, Phase 1 got to end with the Avengers, but like, we're dealing with a much bigger world now, so it takes more to get things set up. I mean, I feel like the biggest pieces to setting it up are Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home. As part of the Multiverse Saga. Oh, and Loki, obviously. We're looking at a picture of Loki. Loki played a big role setting up the Multiverse Saga. As far as their actual plan for Phase 4, they said they've actually done all the projects they were planning to do for Phase 4, plus they add a couple to it. I think Black Panther 2 was actually planned for Phase 5. They moved it to Phase 4. And I think Moon Knight was the same way. And She-Hulk, I think, was the other one. But yeah, well, if you actually look at it, the only thing that got scattered was due to COVID. Largely, it's going as planned.
The fucking glorious purpose that Loki bangs on about. Every previous phase in the MCU has felt like an escalation of character, events, and stakes, building and contributing to the overarching Infinity.
Yeah, but that's not fair. We're dealing with the first step. You can't expect them to build off of Endgame and Infinity War into something huge again. This is kind of your soft reboot phase. They're resetting things for a big event again. You can't keep escalation going. You have to bring it down and then build it back up and bring it down. That's just how you have to do the story. You can't keep it ramping up.
The Saga storyline, and usually being capped off with a big blowout Avengers team-up movie to set up the next major story arc.
Well, the first phase ended with the first Avengers. The second phase ended with Ant-Man. Not sure how that sets that up. And the third phase end with Spider-Man Far From Home, which were both kind of more like epilogue movies than big events setting up the next phase. I mean, they were. I know lots of people like to say that Age of Ultron ended phase 2 and Endgame ended phase 3, but this is technically not true.
It wasn't exactly revolutionary storytelling, but it was a solid and dependable structure that expanded the universe, delivered mostly satisfying payoffs, and teased the prospect of even bigger things to come. Phase 4, on the other hand, has felt like an extremely long-winded joke without a punchline, meandering through a series of disconnected plot threads and ideas with...
I still maintain I think Phase 4 is better than Phase 1. I do.
With no clear plan of where it wanted to go or how to get there. It's like an entertainer that's got to the end of their set only to find out that they still have like half an hour of space to fill, so they're just throwing out whatever comes to mind and hoping that something lands properly. The franchise really needed to come out swinging after Endgame with a compelling new storyline and hard-hitting movies right off the bat to prove...
But you can't keep it building forever. You have to let off some steam, and that's what they're doing right now. They're just resetting, getting some more pieces into play, and just kind of resetting things. It's a soft reboot, essentially.
That there was still a reason for its own existence now that the Infinity Saga was over. Instead, they used their first movie to tell a pointless side story for a legacy character that was already dead, introduced the supposed focus of...
Well, I've wanted a Black Widow movie, so I don't object to that. And the first actual story in Phase 4 ended up being WandaVision, so I don't think having the movie being about a character that's dead is a big deal, because we had WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier before that, and that definitely built up Phase 4.
Of the entire phase using a goofy TV series on Disney Plus that only a fraction of their core audience even bothered to watch.
Okay, but if you're a fan of the MCU, you probably did watch it.
And capped it all off with a Black Panther movie that doesn't even have Black Panther in it anymore.
Of course it's gonna have Black Panther. It doesn't have T'Challa. Quit whining about fucking why T'Challa has to be in the movie. He doesn't. That's the 1080p picture. Are you serious? I assume the quality went down. That's the 1080p picture he has. What? The trailer looks better than that. What the hell?
Chadwick Boseman was simply irreplaceable as T'Challa. His death at such a young age was an absolute tragedy, and part of me can't help but think that the respectful thing to do might have been to just retire the character and leave his memory untarnished.
So that's what they're doing with T'Challa. However, they're gonna keep Black Panther going. I'm sure Chadwick Boseman would want them to continue the character of Black Panther.
But hey, I guess Disney feels differently, especially when there's still billions of dollars to be milked out of the character. Don't worry though, I'm sure it'll be another cultural moment.
Oh god, this is so cringe. Okay, so maybe he didn't get the memo, but according to Geeks and Gamers, they're upset that they're not recasting T'Challa, and Critical Drinker is upset that they don't just end the entire Black Panther franchise, which, of course, they're not going to do that.
Which is basically code for, don't you dare criticize this movie in any way, or you're gonna get labeled as every ist under the sun.
No, it's code for, we're a studio that's promoting our movie and we want people to see it, so we're gonna hype it up. That's what they do. Now, if you want to attack the movie, you can, but actually critique it. You're not going to do that, though. Your review of it is probably going to be super cringe. We'll see, though. We'll see. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen your review. I can't judge it yet. I have this feeling.
We did learn a few things from Phase 4, though, like how it's okay to commit acts of terrorism, murder, illegal human experimentation, the psychological and physical torture of thousands of innocent people, and genocide on a multiversal scale.
What he has mostly brought up has been villains, things that the villains of those stories have done. Do you think that, like, when the Marvel does stories that sets up villains as positive examples? Is that what you're arguing? No, you're not. The villains are not positive examples of things you should be doing in these movies. Jesus Christ, are you trying to bedazzle a jet? Are you trying to get a glove, bejewel the shit out of it, so you can wipe out half the universe? Do you think that's a positive example of things you should be doing? Of course not.
as long as you've got a vagina. Equality.
Oh. So why are you holding female villains to a different standard than male villains? So if a male villain does something evil, that's bad, and it's obviously bad. But if a female villain does something evil, then you're arguing that it's not bad, even though the movie treats it equally as bad? This is your double standard you're setting up right now.
It's fantastic when it only ever works in your favour. Complex global problems of poverty, population imbalance, resource distribution, and historical discrimination.
What, is your argument gonna be Thanos was right? Oh my god, this is a hell of a video.
Can be solved simply by telling people that they need to do better. And sacrificing one life to protect literally all of existence is apparently a bad call. Well, I mean...
Because they didn't have to do that. That was the point of that movie. They were willing to kill her, but they didn't actually have to.
Only if you happen to be a man, of course. But hey, that's all in the past. Now we have an entirely new phase of mindless, pointless, directionless sludge written by mentally deficient children to look forward to. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. Remember Ant-Man? Remember how his movies are basically seen as the most obscure, lightweight and forgettable fluff in the whole MCU? And that's saying something at this point, believe me. Remember how he was basically written out of his own story and reduced to a background character for the...
No, I didn't remember him written out of the story of Ant-Man and the Wasp because he was still a major player in that story. Jesus.
Second movie, so that the writers could focus on far more important characters like the Wasp. Well, now he's back, and he's ready to be overshadowed, outperformed, and belittled by his far more intelligent, capable, and important female counterparts. Can't wait. Or
God damn, these guys. This really feels like a self-report when they talk about this shit. Ant-Man and the Wasp was the sequel to Ant-Man, but was also co-starring the two of them. They didn't outshine each other. They were just different characters, and as I recall, they had about equal role.
How about the most likeable, flawed, and relatable character of them all? Captain Marvel. You know, that scrappy, lovable underdog who can slice through city-sized battlecruisers, tank a punch from Thanos, and whose entire character arc was about throwing off the shackles of society and learning to accept her own awesomeness.
Well, yeah, that actually is a decent analysis of her storyline. I actually think the idea behind her story is actually kind of cool. They don't do a great job executing it, but I actually like that aspect of her storyline, that she's not going to let society dictate who she is, that she's going to decide who she is. That's pretty fucking cool. It's not brilliantly executed, but I like that idea.
Can't wait to see the writers try to construct an interesting story out of a character that's basically Superman without the kryptonite, played by an actress with all the likability of my underwear after a bout of chronic food poisoning.
Yeah, because we gotta get our shots in on Brie Larson. Jesus Christ. These guys just go nuts on Brie Larson. It's fucking ridiculous.
And directed by a woman with a grand total of 2 film credits to her name. Fucking...
Okay. What has she directed? Need for Speed Rivals? The original title, The Marvels? I feel like this is a typo by them. Okay. Directed by Nia DaCosta. Alright. What are the movies she has directed? Let's see. She did that new Candyman movie that I haven't seen. And... Little Woods. What is Little Woods? Tessa Thompson. Oh, is that Lily James next to her? Okay. Got a cast. No, it doesn't seem to be a huge discography. Huge filmography. That being said, maybe she came in with a really good pitch. We will have to see how that movie plays out. Captain Marvel is famously not the best MCU movie by a huge margin, but these guys freak out so much over it. It's fine. It is fine. I was genuinely expecting it to be a thing like when they bashed Chloe Zhao, and Chloe Zhao, like, yeah, she hasn't directed that many movies, but the movies she's won has won so many accolades, it's ridiculous. It doesn't look like she's under the same thing, but maybe she came to him for a really good pitch. We will have to see. Because sometimes these filmmakers just come at these movies with really good pitches, and it's like, yeah, of course they got it. You won't know the pitch until you see the movie, and you're like, damn, that was good. So we will see.
Trainwreck doesn't even come close to this one. That being said, they should probably get a move on though, because if her appearance in Ms. Marvel was anything to go by, Brie Larson might actually blink out of existence before the movie even gets released. Damn man, someone get this girl a cheeseburger, stat! Or how about Captain America?
Whatever. Jesus.
New World Order. Want to see Sam Wilson trade in a cool and unique character of his own so that he can be a cheap carbon copy of someone else instead? Nah.
Well, Captain America is a very big legacy character, and other people have taken the mantle besides Sam Wilson, like Bucky Barnes. And yeah, it's become kind of a mantle thing. It's primarily Steve Rogers, but in the MCU right now, it's Sam Wilson. I really like his Captain America because it's a variant. Because Bucky's Captain America was largely just kind of like it was largely just Captain America, but just like a new guy under the role. Whereas Sam Wilson maintained like his Falcon suit and just added the shield to it. So it's a different iteration of the character, pretty different. And I like his iteration.
Me neither. Giving him the shield in Endgame felt cheap, manipulative, and forced as fuck at the time, and absolutely nothing has changed since then. And it's such a shame, because Anthony Mackie is a really good actor. He was awesome as Falcon, but he's nothing more than a second-rate pretender as Cap. As far as I'm...
Dude, he's been a Cap for one episode of a TV series, and he did a pretty fucking good job, so give it a rest.
I'm concerned Steve Rogers was, and always will be the one and only Captain America.
Okay, but now we're talking about your head canon, dude. We're talking about canon in your head. Because canon right now in the MCU is Sam Wilson as Captain America. Get over it.
But hey, remember Blade? Remember how he basically kicked off the modern era of superhero movies back in 1998 with an R-rated action film that was dark and violent and gory? Remember how he was played to perfection by Wesley Snipes, giving the world an awesome black superhero 20 years before Black Panther came along to take all the glory? Yeah, well, forget about that, because now we have the modern Disney-fied version to look forward to. Because trying to fit this character into the light-hearted, family-friendly MCU sounds about as feasible as trying to hold a prayer meeting at a BDSM club. The two just aren't going to mesh with each other, and if something has to give, I suspect it'll be Blade's dark and violent tone. In which case, it's just not Blade as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, we haven't seen the Blade yet. Mahershala Ali is a great actor, so I actually am excited to see what he does with the character. I hope it is R-rated as well. We'll have to see. There are times where they can get away with a PG-13 and have it still be dark and intense and have it work. Hell, Captain America the Winter Soldier is a great example. I kind of want Blade to be bloody, though, so I kind of think they should go for the R. We'll see what they do with it. But I want to see what Ali does with the role, because Ali's a great fucking actor.
But on the plus side, at least we've got the TV shows to look forward to, right? Like Loki Season 2. You enjoyed watching one of the coolest and most interesting antagonists of the MCU getting turned into a whiny, emotional, insecure, and dumb as fuck sidekick whose only function is to get humiliated, broken down, and outclassed by his superior female opponent, right? Well...
Did you watch the same Loki Season 1 I did? Number one, he doesn't get outclassed by the Sylvie. That series, he matures a lot. He has a lot of character growth in that. Is that what you're calling out him getting outclassed? Is that what you're calling it? Because I call it character growth. Because he was a whiny villain throughout most of the MCU. This is where he kind of comes to his own, and I liked that development of the character. I'm sorry if you dislike character growth, but I like character growth, and I thought Loki Season 1 was pretty fucking good.
Can't wait for a whole new season of that. Or how about Ironheart? Ever wondered what would happen if Iron Man was a flawless, idealized teenage prodigy named Mary?
Is she? Is she flawless? Because I'm going to tell you I don't know, because I haven't read the comic book, and I'm willing to bet you haven't either, Critical Drinker. I'm willing to bet you don't know shit of what you're talking about.
Mary Sue? Sorry, Riri? Nah, me neither. Can't wait to see how the show tries to convince us that Riri is smarter and more talented and more capable than Tony Stark ever was, while taking subtle digs at the flaws in his personality to slowly break down our perception of him.
Not a great plan.
I love how you know exactly what's going to happen in this series without even watching it. Why even watch it? Fuck it. Yeah, let's just judge everything before we watch it. We don't even have a fucking trailer for Ironheart yet. We just have like a quick shot of it in the Black Panther trailer. That's it. Jesus Christ.
Fuck off, Ironheart. You're never gonna fill Tony's shoes, and all you're ever gonna be seen as is a cheap plastic imitation of something far better.
I love how they're talking about how, like, superhero mantles haven't been a thing for, like, forever. Granted, Marvel hasn't done it as much as DC. DC did superhero mantles like mad. There are so many different people have taken over the superhero roles. And part of the issue is that they've all largely been white guys. And I happen to notice that now that Marvel does this thing that DC's been doing for fucking ever, but they're not doing it with just white guys, all of a sudden everybody's enraged. I wonder why that is. This is a thinker. We might have to ponder that one. Why aren't they upset when white guys take over classic mantles, but they're upset when people who aren't white do? This is a thinker.
Or how about Echo, the story of a deaf-mute protagonist who can't communicate with other people in any meaningful way, who has to go back to her hometown and reconnect with her Native American roots? Yeah, thrilling.
Can't communicate with people in any way. Can't communicate with people. Do you think deaf-mute people are completely incapable of communication? Period? Is that your deep analysis? Jesus Christ.
Stuff. Almost as thrilling as Agatha Harkness, the ridiculous pantomime villain from WandaVision that's apparently got her own spin-off show now. Because it was Agatha all along, don't you know? Honestly, how long is it going to be until we get a series about
I mean, Agatha was fun, so sure.
young Obadiah, or Red Skull, the early years, or the continuing story of fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3? Where does all this stuff end? Oh yeah, it doesn't. And I guess that's the real takeaway from Phase 5, 6.
It's almost like it's a comic book universe that just kind of expands as it goes along with new elements being added. Huh.
7 and who knows how many more. It'll never stop. Disney are just gonna keep churning this stuff out, becoming ever more lazy and complacent, slotting new actors into familiar roles, rebooting entire franchises and universes, trampling over beloved characters and storylines, rewriting past events to fit current trends, sacrificing quality storytelling with universal appeal to pander to whatever political cause happens to be in vogue that week. They'll do all of this stuff and more because people let them get away with it. They'll never stop and they'll never improve as
They'll never stop and they'll never improve. I feel like the MCU has been fairly consistent. Yeah, sure, it's getting a bit redundant because, I mean, frankly, it's always been a bit redundant. It's not really changed in that matter. We'll have to see how this phase evolves, but there have definitely been serious highlights of this phase, like No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness is pretty fucking good. WandaVision was excellent. I really like Loki Season 1. I really liked Moon Knight. We just have to see how it goes. There's highlights and lowlights, but like that's every MCU phase. And yeah, the low points aren't particularly heinous. We haven't had a Howard the Duck in the MCU yet. We haven't had a Captain America 1990 in the MCU. This is a low bar. Hell, we haven't even had anything like Batman Forever in the MCU yet.
As long as audiences keep paying to see what they make. It's the Bachelor Chow of entertainment, the lowest.
Audiences keep on paying to see what they make. Do you know who keeps on paying to see what they make? You do. And you make content off of it. If you don't want them to make stuff anymore, you know what you do? You boycott it. If you're so against it, you fucking boycott it. That's how that works.
common denominator, designed to be mass-produced quickly and easily, and consumed in exactly the same way. Guys like myself, Mauler, Nerdrotic, and others tried to warn you that this was coming. We could see the cracks appearing even before Endgame, but it was like trying to stop a runaway train with a feather duster. The momentum was too strong, the brand loyalty too entrenched, the piles of money too big. And well, I hope it was all worth it, because those piles of money may start getting a lot smaller as time goes by. The law of diminishing returns seems to have claimed the MCU at last. The box office returns for Phase 4 have been dwarfed by their predecessors. Black Widow, Shang-Chi...
Have it? Well, number one, it's post-pandemic, so it's gonna get hit a bit. Has Phase 4 been less than Phase 1? I doubt it. I don't even know if it's been less than Phase 2. I mean, sure, it's been less than Phase 3. Phase 3 was fucking huge.
He and the Eternals all failed to break even, despite what the mainstream media would have you believe. Thor Love and Thunder is underperforming badly right now, and Doctor Strange 2 only got as far as it did by coasting on the momentum of No Way Home, the only movie of this phase to crack a...
So, like, there are movies that are underperforming, even though they're doing fine, and then, like, the movies that do well, oh, they're just coasting off No Way Home. Or they're just doing fine.
$1 billion, and it wasn't even made by Marvel. Even the endless deluge of lazy, hastily written TV shows...
It was partially produced by Marvel. No Way Home is Marvel and Sony combined.
Designed to plug the gap has done nothing but dilute a once invincible brands. But you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. Every genre in Hollywood has its time to shine and its time to fade. Sooner or later, people get tired of things no matter how popular they once were. It happened to westerns, it happened to war movies, and sooner or later, it'll happen to superhero films. Maybe it's gonna take...
I mean, I don't agree with his analysis, but that final bit is correct. It will happen to superhero movies. It's become the dominant genre, and it's been that for a little bit, and it will eventually fade out. This is true.
A while, but the decline is absolutely happening, and if Phase 5 is anything to go...
And I can't help but notice that you really seem to be complaining about the decline since we've had more movies that star people who aren't middle-aged white guys. I can't help but notice that that's making you really upset. Even though the movies are actually just fine still, which they've always been just fine. Yeah, you get a couple gems, but we've had a couple gems too. Like I said, Moon Knight was great. No Way Home was great. Doctor Strange 2 was pretty damn good. Loki was pretty damn good. WandaVision was pretty damn good. We've had some good stuff this phase.
Go by? Well, that decline may come a lot quicker than anyone expects. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Huh. So, that was really bad. Jesus Christ. He even had a decent point at the end, but it's just, no. I thoroughly dislike his analysis of future stuff, because that's when, I feel like if he does like a regular movie review, you can actually just get some honest opinions of him, and yeah, he'll sprinkle some cringe in there, but for the most part, you'll just get honest opinions. Whenever he does projections on like a trailer, or obviously Phase 5, it's this cringe analysis, and I don't even know what the fuck the point is of most of this. It's like, I'm gonna shit on this stuff even though I know nothing about it. Like, he said about how Riri Williams is a Mary Sue perfect character. What's your source on that? I've not heard anything about her being a perfect fucking character. I haven't read the character, so I don't know. I'm willing to bet you money he hasn't either, because all these guys the same. Oh, have you read it? I don't have to. Oh, so you haven't. Great. This was bad. What helped when I looked at his analysis of Phase 4 was that I've already partially seen Phase 4 and knew how ridiculous his guesstimations were. And I haven't seen Phase 5 yet, so I don't know how ridiculous this guesstimation will be, but it will be awful as well, just like his Phase 4 analysis was. Yeah. Phase 4 is fine. Is it the best Marvel phase? Of course not. Phase 2 is actually probably the best Marvel phase, although Phase 3 definitely had highlights. But yeah, Phase 4 had highlights too. Phase 1 had highlights, but I would definitely say 4 overall is better than 1. Honestly, Phase 1 what? So, like, we had Iron Man, the first Iron Man, which is actually really good. And then we had Incredible Hulk, which is pretty forgettable. Then we had Iron Man 2, which is good ideas, but ends up being super forgettable. And then we had Thor, which I like Kenneth Branagh, but it doesn't quite work. And then we have First Avenger, which is pretty solid. Then we have Avengers, which is great. So that's like 3 mehs and 3 really goods. Now compare that to Phase 4. Phase 4, we've had WandaVision, really good. Loki Season 1, really good. Falcon the Winter Soldier, doesn't thrill me, but it's decent. Black Widow, pushing the meh. It's not bad. I think Black Widow is probably better than Captain Marvel. I think the themes Captain Marvel goes for are better, but I think the overall story execution was better in Black Widow. Moon Knight was really good. Well, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is good. I think it's a bit overrated, but I thought it was good. No Way Home was excellent. Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was really fucking good. Thor Love and Thunder was a bit disappointing, but overall I enjoyed it more than I disliked it. What If didn't thrill me. What If might be my least favorite of Phase 4. But you kind of see where I'm getting at. It's kind of... The track record of Phase 4 and Phase 1 aren't all that far off, and if you make me choose, I'll probably go Phase 4, just because I think Phase 4 does some creative stuff that Phase 1 is more your standard down-the-line superhero movies. And they do a good job with some of them, but it's fairly paced by numbers for the most part. Whereas Phase 4 kind of does that, kind of does some different stuff, especially with like WandaVision. With Wanda dealing with essentially her grief in a fucked up way because she's a superhero, and yeah, of course things get fucked up. Yeah. Phase 4 is decent, and this hate from it always seems to boil down to non-white people not starring in everything. Not every single product here is targeted at middle-aged white guys anymore. Still, a lot of it is, but not all of it, and they're freaking out about it, and it's obnoxious.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.